Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
How do you feel today?
I feel tired. I'm 2/3 of the way through this all singing, all dancing, tap dancing end of the memoir cycle.
The big tour.
The big tour.
The promo.
That you really don't think about too much, like 80,000 words, all of your stories, some of your stories in a book. You think that's going to be the chunk of the effort and the emotion and all of the things, but it's not. It's just the beginning of this whole thing.
Yeah.
But she's out there now, so
She is a she?
Yeah. Why not?
Is that because it's the version of you that you're putting out into the world?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I think that's what we have to do, is that there's the version we put out in the world, and then there's the version of us that's just, ourselves alone in our rooms, in our houses, and with our friends and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When it came time to write this, you have a choice of like, here's some things that I'm going to keep to myself. Here's some things that not anybody knows yet.
Yeah.
But once I say them, it's not going to be able to be unsaid.
Yeah. The old Pandora's box.
Yeah, she's way more than just an expensive charm bracelet.
This episode.
What was it that you needed to like, okay, if I'm going to write this book,
yeah,
even though this is a very difficult time in my life, I'm going to have to put it in. Why did you want to put that stuff in the book?
One of the things that I've talked about in the book wrote itself. There was a time where I was confronted by these things bubbling up, and it was as I was preparing to write the book, I attended an event for Marie Claire, and there was a speaker, two speakers, Anna Coates-Trotter and Tanya Plibersek, her mother, who spoke about Anna's experience of sexual violence and coercive control and other things, and that triggered something that broke a damn wall for me. And I was confronted by my own visceral set of emotions over identifying with something that I'd suppressed and I pushed it down so deep. I tucked it way back in the closet and I pretended that it didn't happen. Yeah. And that event gave me an invitation to investigate why I was feeling this way now. And so when I sat down to write, it wrote itself. Yeah. I sat there and it was almost an out-of-body experience, that it flowed out. And I had to ask myself, okay, once you say this thing, people will own that in their own way. Yeah. You think about, like I come from a PR background. I know that people will pick up things in a certain way and you're aware of that. But I had to sit down and think, okay, beyond all of that, just take that away for a second. Why is this coming up for me right now? Yeah. And I needed to work through something that was obviously deeply troubling for me, and then I needed to heal with. And I hadn't spoken to a therapist about it. I hadn't spoken to anybody about it, but I needed to do that work. And in doing that, and I think, one thing we have in common is we talk about these vulnerable things that happen to us, our mental health, our troubles. We do this in aid of making people feel less alone in what they're going through, because what connects us all as humans, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's the trials and tribulations we go through. And by being vulnerable, by laying yourself bare, you give other people an opportunity to set down their burdens, initiate conversations that might really need to be had, and start a path of healing. And if that can help one person, and then I'm okay with sharing the things that have happened to me, because sadly they're not uncommon.
They have a trick of convincing us that we're the only person it's happening to, and it's something that we should probably hold some shame about or something. And that perpetuates how bad it can be, whether there be something that you're a victim of or even, a period of mental unwellness. And that can make it last possibly longer and be way more aggravating than it needs to be. Yeah. But once we realise, well, for me, it's hard because my ego has to understand that I'm not a special snowflake. It also happens to other people, and I'm not alone. And there's a whole team of people. What? There's a whole book? What do you mean? There's some steps I can take?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You mean other people have trodden this path and have written about it and have really deeply thought about it?
People have gone into research and development laboratories and developed pharmaceuticals for exactly what's going on with market caps in the billions.
But isn't ego funny?
It is. Really, I battle it every fucking day and I hate it.
And we all do. And I think sometimes being too self-aware is just horrible.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad that I am self-aware, but I think sometimes being too self-aware, then you start to really wig out about the edges of the thing that you're trying to grapple with. And but ego makes us feel like this is our thing, we're alone in our experience. And I think when we can kind of break through that and understand that, hey, we're not that special.
No,
we're just human. I'm not that special humans either. Being human, and it's just my memoir, your memoir. It's just our own configuration of the weird things that happen to humans. Yeah. It's it's just Osher shaped or it's Mel shaped, and that's
the moment that happened to you at the event that you went to, and you went, oh yeah, and this flood of stuff came back to you. I think it's important for people to understand that you don't know what you've forgotten.
Yeah.
And it's happened more than once in my life.
Yeah. Brains are really clever at protecting us.
Yeah. You mentioned you didn't see or speak to a therapist at the time. Has that changed?
Oh, absolutely. It's changed. I had a therapist the entire time. Because I had repressed this particular event in my life, I had never spoken about it to anybody, including her. And so when that happened, when that moment in that room and the dam wall broke, then absolutely I spoke to her about it, and I've been doing a lot of work
for people who may be in this situation and going to speak to someone or talk to someone about it might be, way too much. What does the pathway through dealing with these kind of thoughts and feelings look like?
It's a slow process, and I'm sure it's very different for everybody. But, for me, it started with having that hard conversation with my therapist and with then eventually my friends and my family to say I was raped. And that was really hard. A lot of friends took it really difficultly because they said how could we not have known? How could we not have known? And I feel very bad that we've known each other for so long and I didn't know this thing had happened to you. And I said, it's not your fault to bear because I didn't say anything. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want that to dominate, or be a feature of how you know me or, trauma bond with people. Like that's really dangerous too. So it started with conversations and normalizing this conversation because that's part of it. And I'm trying to treat these chats like part of the therapy. Like let's talk about it until I feel okay about it being out there, because it's even if I wanted to, I couldn't take it back now. I have to say it. But also, I guess the overarching reason why I'm having this discussion, and I wrote it into the book, is that when this happened to me, discussions of consent were not being had in the way that they are now. And I really want to drive home the point that consent is not just a throwaway line that we joke about. It's not a meme on TikTok. It is crucial in the way that we navigate each other. And consent, or a withdrawal of consent, needs to be understood. And it's not just,
And it can happen at any time.
Yeah, it's not just a, feminism buzzword.
It can happen at any time.
And you can, exactly, you have agency over whether or not you choose to give or withdraw consent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say to people about what recovery can look like and what life can look like on the other side of that?
I think that recovery is a choice. I have in a very meaningful way decided, there have been some not nice things that have happened to me in my life, not just this one thing, but other issues and other situations that have happened to me in my life. And the way that I choose to see it is that I want to live a life that is meaningful and rich and contented. And in order to do that, I need to set down these bags that have been handed to me. Not some not of my choice, but it is my choice to set them down and walk away. And when you get to do the work and you have consolidated how you feel about things, part of the next phase of the healing is to set it down and to continue on without it. And you will feel lighter and better about things. But it is a choice to want to seek contentment and to seek a life that you want to live. I don't want to live a life where I wear a chip on my shoulder and I'm angry about everything all of the time. Am I angry about some of the things that have happened to me? Fuck yeah. But there's a difference in being able to recognize that I am or I was, but I can separate myself from that. It's not fused to me in a way that I can't take it off and leave it and walk away. It needs to be separate from us.
In recovery, they call it to drop the rock.
Yeah. You observe all of the things that become your burden. And if you let it define you, then you are never going to be able to let go of that rock.
Yeah.
But doing the work to heal is about separating you from what happened to you and realizing that you don't have to, What
does it look like when you're navigating relationships again or navigating intimacy? Like, what can that look like?
Just taking it a little slower.
Yeah.
Taking it a little slower and realizing that I think for me, because of the way I grew up in a family where I didn't essentially feel safe. Like there was a lot of abuse going on. And so I didn't feel like my parents were not people I could go to for comfort. So I know that I seek certain qualities in people or that I have trauma bonded with people, friends and, not just romantic relationships, but friends as well. And that's not a healthy way to find, because it's a false sense of depth that can really lead you down the wrong path as well. And then you start to, I've known people who will find a way into hearing your damage and then create or find something relevant in their life to make you feel seen. And then you feel like, oh, you get me. And so I see you and you see me and we've both gone through this horrible thing. Therefore, we are meant to be friends. We're meant to be fused together in some way. And it creates, I think, an emotional sense of connection that really isn't there. Friendships don't and relationships don't necessarily form healthily in that Petri dish of sadness. They just don't. And so that is not a good way. I used to think, okay, here's an example. I used to think in dating that if you put everything on the table on the first date, like here's everything, here's all the ugly, embarrassing shit, take it or leave it. I thought that was the healthy way to do it because then that person's dating me for me. But that is so not the right thing at all because then people get to pick and choose the things that they want to identify with or they want to hook you in with. And then they know all your pressure points and your pain points to manipulate you into whatever it is that fits their life.
Oh, boy.
And it's not healthy. And I've learned not to just be like, here's my everything.
Yeah.
I've learned to try and find the happy things that connect you with somebody new.
Yeah.
Rather than, and you'll get, if the friendship is meant to be, the relationship is meant to be, then you'll get to that stuff eventually. But you don't have to start with that stuff. It doesn't have to be that raw and that ugly that early.
It's very clear to hear that you have put a lot of effort into this kind of stuff and thought about it in a very deep way by the way that you kind of qualify and speak about the work you've done.
Yeah.
Okay. And I hope people can hear that it's worth it to put the effort in because the agency that was taken from you is reclaimed by taking responsibility and working through it.
100%.
And now it's mine.
Yeah. Reclaiming identity, reclaiming your energy and your power.
Yeah. Yeah.
So important.
So important.
And you have agency over that. I think that's the thing that people need to realize is that you as an individual, if you want that power back, you take it back.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. Like it's not an easy thing to just be like, oh yeah, like done.
Yeah, but luckily Zach De La Rocca and his mates from Rage Against the Machine write a great song that will serve as a soundtrack to get you in there.
I wish, I wanted to reference that song in my book and do you know how much it would have cost? Like my publisher were like.
The lyrics?
I just because it's
That
a
one lyric?
it's a mantra that's in my head all of the time. And they said, we know you love this lyric and we've investigated it and it's real spenny. It's really expensive. Do you really want to do that? And they said we would
You just write, look, there's a great
it.
band called Rage Against the Machine and they have a song title, I can't remember. It sounds like Fake the Shower Hack.
Yeah. Fake the shower.
I'm here to help. I've had to get around all 1,000 kinds of copyright shit on live telly just to get a joke or something. Yeah. You got to do it.
There's one that starts with like pluck food. I won't do what you smell.
Yeah. Tuck, pluck food. I like pluck food. Oh, it'll come to me.
Yeah.
Now the question's in my subconscious. It'll show up at an inappropriate time before the end of this conversation.
Fantastic.
Which will be great.
At least for me, it's like next week at 4:30 in the afternoon, and I will have to text you about it. So
I'm here. I'm around.
Okay, great.
When it came to saying yes to telly, that is an almighty gauntlet to pick up.
Sure.
To carry forth. Yeah. With that.
Yeah. I mean, the bar was set really high.
Yeah. Those dudes.
I heard lightning in a bottle many times. And credit where credit's due. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a mighty format, what Australia did with that format.
Yeah.
Turn it from like this really.
Best format in the world.
A little bit better than Ready, Steady, Cook mid-morning cooking show that came from overseas. It was. You watch original versions of it, it's like, what? This is MasterChef?
Yeah.
And then
what it evolved into.
What they turn it into. Yeah. Holy
magical.
Smokes.
Beloved.
Unbelievable.
Emotionally, such an important thing for so many families. Yeah. The amount of people over the last few years that have come up and spoken to me and said, this is the thing I do with my kid.
Yes.
And then my kid doesn't want to do anything else with me, but this is the thing we share together. And the fact that I got to be part of that is beautiful.
What was it? And I'm sure you've asked this question many times, but that's an exciting opportunity.
Sure.
But being a PR person, you're very aware. Like, I'm not Anglo. I'm a smart person. I'm gonna be very ladily, not Anglo and smart on telly.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you're walking into.
Absolutely.
Did you ever think about what was coming?
Oh, 100%. And coming from a journalism background as well, like it's my job to be skeptical and also observant. And for the last decade prior, was extremely aware of what happened to the former lineup in terms of their lives exploded into a public space. Maybe they weren't expecting that. And that's a huge transition of just doing a job to like people wanting to know very specific details about you that, if you're a private person, you might not want to share. So I was aware that if I said yes to that opportunity, that tremendous opportunity, it would change my life forever. I wouldn't be able to write in the same way because I wouldn't have that same level of anonymity and perhaps objectivity as well, because people want to know what you think. So everything suddenly weirdly, it becomes an op-ed. Everything becomes an op-ed a little bit more. I knew everything would have to change, and that was a big question. Could I do it? Would I be able to live with the things that they don't tell you about that are going to happen to you in your life?
Did you call anyone? Did you talk to anyone who was on air?
No, I didn't call anyone. I talked to the people in my life about it, and I really thought about it, and I had spent so much time in my career in hospitality promoting ostensibly white men, and some of them are my mates. Like, you guys are okay, like it's fine. But in terms of who we see on screens and who else might, be great for the job, I was really respectful of the fact that I was there in that conversation. And I what cinched it for me is I sat down and I said, well, if not me, then who? Yeah. I can do the job.
Yeah.
So let's give it a go and say yes to the thing that's slightly scary and see what happens. And do I regret it? No. Yeah. But has it been smooth sailing the entire time? Also, no.
Yeah.
Like, why would we expect that to be the case? There has to be a trade-off somewhere.
Yeah.
And the trade-off has been privacy. It has been, you can't correct every narrative that's out there about you, even if it is heinously offensive. You can't go and it's whack-a-mole. Like there are too many, too many things
sources
that you
say
need.
They sources know a lot of stuff.
Close
observers and sources.
Yeah,
they've really got
those guys who know all
insiders.
Of things. Yeah, yeah. They know everything, and they want to say some scathing things sometimes, and you have to let that go because it's not. You can't sweat that stuff.
It's hard to get there.
Oh, I was at the beginning. You should have seen me. I was so upset all of the time because I'm like, that's not even remotely true. How could they possibly say that? And now I'm just like, you know what? I know who I am. I know how I carry myself through the world. Am I someone who will make mistakes? Of course, every human does. But I would like to think that the way that I do what I do is done with a great amount of consideration, not just for me, but for every person of colour that might come in or be given an opportunity after me. I would never muddy the waters. I would never poison the well for them. And that's all you need to know is that I would never, ever do that to squash opportunities for other people because we need to see diversity.
What does it mean for you to know that there's, young Australian-born Chinese kids looking on the telly and there you are?
I didn't really think about it too much at the beginning because I'm just a freelancer doing a job and it was a hell of a gig. But what changed for me is when people started coming up and telling me, and you have to stop and listen to that. I'm a massive introvert. I'll walk into a room and I won't be looking at anyone. I'll just be kind of just like thinking thoughts and walking around, and I must look like I'm a bit mad or something. Maybe I have resting bitch face, who knows. But I remember once walking into a pharmacy and I was just like browsing around, and a woman just like very gently came up and tapped me on the shoulder, and she goes, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to say thank you. And she was emotional about it. And, she just said, I just want to say thank you.
Wow.
And I had to really stop. I mean, I was holding a box of tampons at the time, which was a little bit awkward, but you have to stop and take that seriously and appreciate that it does matter to people. And, in writing this book, when I've been doing book signings, it's the most amount of contact I've had with people, because you have to remember I started the show during the pandemic. So it was online only, which is easy to kind of close your phone because you can. Mm-hmm. But the tangibility of meeting people in person wasn't part of my experience. So now that I'm meeting people, and the amount of people that say, my daughter's 8 and she loves watching you, and what it means to me to be first generation and see my kid see someone on TV that they want to be like has made a huge impact in her life. Yeah. I appreciate that so much. I'm one of many, and it makes me very happy to see that every day things are changing, but the needle moves very slowly in this country. For some networks, diversity is brunette.
There's a line in the book that I'm kind of interested in, and I'd love you to kind of chat about it. The choice to blow up your life is not for the faint-hearted.
No.
And it is, admittedly, extremely selfish.
Yeah.
We all kind of think, I know an easy way out of this. Detonate.
Yeah.
Rarely do we do that.
Yeah.
What goes on before you hit that button? And tell me about that idea of
blowing up your life.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, look, it is not for the faint-hearted, and it is extremely selfish. And there are very few times in life where we can see the gap where it might be the right time to do that. But for me, what I mean by that is, there have been times in my life where I've been living a perfectly fine existence, on paper, all good, but something doesn't feel right. Like internally there is something like a blockage that's saying, hey, you are not living in harmony of what feels right for you. And for many times in my life that this has happened, I've reached a point where I can't ignore that feeling anymore, and I need to address it in a certain way. And even though it seems very ungrateful to be like, oh, you've got a nice partner, you've got a nice apartment, you've got a cute dog and everything's working out well. If it doesn't feel right, if that's not the life I was meant to be living, then I need to change it somehow. And so, yeah, there have been times in my life where I've pulled up stumps and, started again from the ground up, and it has not been easy. And I'm aware that it might have hurt people along the way as well. But I have to hope that by being honest with my feelings with everybody, that they will eventually understand that it's in everybody's best interest. Because if we're not living wholly, if we're not living in a way that we feel like we can wake up in the morning and be like, okay, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
Not every day is glorious, but it's your life. Then yeah, that's, I want to always live with that level of feeling like I'm heading in the right direction, even if I don't know what that direction is, that I'm going in the right way. I guess living your truth is a really cliched way of saying it, but
Yeah.
I need to live my life feeling like I'm good with who I am, or at least make choices that make me feel like they're right. And so, yeah, I pulled up stumps and I moved to Tasmania 12 years ago. I lived on an abattoir and a sheep dairy in that time. And I started again. But had I not have done those things, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, right.
And I'm grateful for all of the little choices that add up to maybe a very different life to what I would have had otherwise.
I like that you were intimate with an abattoir.
Yeah.
I would like and I would hope that other people understand what it is that goes into what is on their plate.
I didn't work there every day, but I did do some, time there.
Yeah.
Because as a food writer, I had spent so much of my life in fancy restaurants, in nice clothes, in big cities, eating delicious food, having no tangible grasp on what it takes for the food to be in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if given the opportunity to really explore and understand and respect what it takes to get there from literally the ground up. I think if you're going to eat whatever you choose to eat, you need to be okay with it. And so this was a great food education for me of living on farms, being in that world for just a very short period of time. But it was as close as I could get to putting my money where my mouth is. And I'm really glad that I was given that grounding in how hard life is on an agricultural level.
Yeah.
Farmers are the bedrock of our lives.
Yeah.
Without soil, without farmers, we have nothing.
Can you just explore that a little bit more with me?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's important for people to understand what's on their plate and how it came to be there?
Well, because if food is abstract to you, if you buy your meat from a supermarket or from a butcher and it arrives portioned and ready for you to cook, you have no connection with where it has come from and the sacrifices that have been made in order for you to get to eat it. Food is hard to come by. We are so lucky, we get to talk about food like it's it's a given, and it's not a given to everybody.
Our society has a problem with too many calories.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Food shortages, food scarcity is a real thing, even in this country. I'm speaking to Ronnie Khan about all of the amazing work that she does with Oz Harvest to, bridge the gaps to help reduce food waste and to address food scarcity in this country. And these are, and we live in a remarkably privileged, kind of place. So if it's happening here, then it's happening everywhere, obviously, and we need to, wherever we're given the opportunity, I just believe that, take the time to appreciate where it comes from so that when you eat, you appreciate what you're eating just a little bit more.
There's something about you which people may not understand, is that you are into combat sports.
Yeah.
How did it start for you?
I started pandemic. It was a pandemic thing. I started watching MMA during the pandemic. And
what was it that you liked about
other
it?
people were baking. I was watching combat sports.
Why? What was it about it that you liked?
Martial arts has been with humans since the beginning of humanity. Like it's been part of who we are. But what I'm fascinated by is fearlessness, right? I watch these incredible athletes, and they're not just masters of one sport, but many. And it's about fight IQ, being present in the moment, being able to read your opponent, being able to train and try to plan for how to be the winner, but having to shift on the fly as well, depending on the conditions at play. But also for you as an athlete, how did you get to be there? Like, what's the story there? It has to be a pretty amazing story. Yeah. It's not just, I was really good at sports, so I decided to pick up other sports and then just mash them up and do this sport.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. For me, it's about the human story always. And so whether or not I'm drawing out a story from somebody who's, cooking in a 45-minute challenge in the MasterChef kitchen, or I'm, interviewing an MMA fighter, passion and purpose is so important to me. I want to know what makes people tick. I want to know what gives them the courage, the audacity, the fearlessness to be who they are. And especially in that arena, it's a tough world and it's a really tough sport. I want to know what it takes to be in that world. I find it really fascinating. And for me, seeing the shapes and seeing the strategy and seeing the way that sports layer upon each other, it's like 6 games of chess happening at the same time. Yeah. With really dire consequences. And I find that fascinating.
What do you think people get wrong about MMA fighters? What's the misconceptions there?
I think they judge MMA for being, it's a blood sport. It's just like laughing at violence. It's not actually that at all. And when you meet people and, when you go to a martial arts gym and you meet people, they're some of the most chill, respectful, lovely people you'll ever meet because they're into the discipline of learning. They're there for technique. They're there for community. And so to write people off as, you just like violence, that's really not what I'm seeing when I watch MMA. I'm seeing multidisciplinary athletes at the height of their abilities doing what they do best and doing what they love doing. And so I appreciate every part of that, the courage and the athleticism.
You've started training yourself.
Yep.
What is it that you're hoping to find out about yourself from doing this, from studying Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
Firstly, it's been really great for my anxiety and for just finding a community of people that just love this one thing and are tremendously welcoming about anybody who wants to learn. Like whatever your level, I'm just a 2-stripe white belt. I know nothing, but there's a lifetime of learning to build. There's a lifetime of technique to accrue. But what I'm hoping to find out about myself is, do I have, the problem-solving abilities to, be upside down and backwards and still be able to find my center again? That's what the world is we're inside this giant washing machine all of the time where so much is happening.
Yeah.
But can you find moments of quiet clarity in all of the movement and all of the things going on where life still makes sense?
Since you've been studying jiu-jitsu, what's changed about the way you deal with adversity or solve problems?
Well, look, it doesn't take a psychologist to kind of go, okay, she's come from, a background of abuse and not nice things have happened to her, that she wants to learn martial arts to feel a little bit stronger, and
fine.
That's fine. And part of that's partially true. Like I do walk out of there, not that I think I'm going to win every fight or that, I can walk down the street at night and feel, fearless. It's not about that. But it does give me a sense of strength that I didn't have before. It gives me a sense of self-possession I maybe didn't have before. And also it's great, like from a fitness perspective, it's been phenomenal. So, you need to be strong.
Yeah.
You need to have strength and you need to have great cardio as well.
Yeah.
And so building towards that, especially I'm 43.
Yeah, but Asian 43 is like 28. Come on.
Yeah, you said it. I didn't say. Look,
Audrey says it all the time. She goes, Chinese blood is strong. I'm like, yeah, I fucking know. She's Chinese Fijian. Like,
I mean, a great combo. Fantastic combo.
She's she calls herself Eubrasian.
Eubrasian. I love it. Okay, genetics aside, like, I mean, might look younger than I am, but for me, it's about quality of life.
Yeah.
As you hit your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, I want to be able to hold my head up and I want to be able to kind of be fit and do the things I want to do and not be physically limited for as long as possible. Yeah. Whatever life's going to dole out, it's going to dole out.
I couldn't agree with you more.
But for me, something like jiu-jitsu is really great because it's teaching me a commitment to conditioning and strength and health and fueling. Like I've never thought of food as fuel as the central proposition because food has always been pleasure for me. It's always been about the pursuit of happiness. But I really understand that if you don't eat right, you can't train properly.
Yeah, right.
And so understanding the nutrition
Yeah.
and the timing aspects of food is something that's fascinating to me and fits back into my wheelhouse. And so that's sort of something that I'm discovering as well.
Just to circle back just a little bit, there was a person in my life who she was a victim of sexual assault, and it was quite extreme in that she literally couldn't take public transport.
Yeah.
Like couldn't be near other humans.
Yeah.
Found her way to that through roller derby.
Whoa.
On roller skates, smashing into people.
Yeah.
Was transformative.
Yeah.
Because it was a completely different context in which physical contact happened.
Yeah.
And
you've got agency over it.
Like smashing into big people, no problem at all.
And there is something also admittedly cathartic about that.
Yeah. When people watch MMA and jiu-jitsu in a gi in a training gym are very, very, very different things.
Very, very extremely,
different things.
yeah.
But you'll be there upside down with someone's perineum in your eyeball, and you're in an arm lock and you don't want to, like...
It's my perfect Friday.
You are close.
It's extremely close quarters.
Yes.
It really is, but I have agency in that.
Yeah.
I have agency in that. And also, I suppose, in my particular situation, it wasn't a violent attack, that happened to me. It was far more insidious and subtle than that, but nevertheless is the same thing.
Yeah.
So it is same and different.
Yeah.
But for me, having agency over putting myself in situations like that. But I'm really, when you're in it, yes, it's funny objectively, someone, like you're in someone's armpit that you've just met. But you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about how to survive the round. You're thinking about strategy. You're thinking about getting your frames back and getting space between you and the other person. You're thinking about those things. And by being present, thinking about technique and framing and how to advance into the next position that you want to be in, you're not thinking about anything else. And so that's really wonderful.
It's a lot of work to get your mindfulness in there.
Yeah, I mean,
you could just think about your out-breath.
Some people sit and meditate on a hill. I do jiu-jitsu. That's different horses for different courses, but that's okay. Yeah,
we did it. Wolf did it for a while. What I really loved about jiu-jitsu is that, unlike other martial arts or things where there is a grading involved to ascend, you cannot ascend without, you have to be humble. You have to, absolutely, humility is baked into it. You have to go,
every day,
you are better than me.
Every day.
I'm tapping because you're better than me. And I cannot I cannot prove that I'm not as good as you.
Yep. You can hold out for a certain period of time, but at some point you're going to need to tap, because if you're about to be submitted, because otherwise you'll pass out. So, or you'll, tear a ligament. So neither of those things you want to do unless you have to. But it is tremendously humbling. And I kind of love it because it's the one place in my life that I get to go and no one gives a shit who anybody is. Like there's often a joke about, in one room you could have, a criminal, the guy, the cop who arrested him, the judge that got him off, like all happily rolling together. It's such an eclectic group of people that there are surgeons who do it. There are, guys who smoke weed all day doing it, and everyone comes to it from a different perspective, but it's a very equalizing space.
What would you say about accessing that kind of humility in a deliberate way? What does it give you?
Oh, it's so good. It's for me to be humbled is, I think, something it's really healthy. I think everybody needs to experience that because it puts life into context.
Yeah.
It really, really does. So things that happen to you, suddenly things that might have bothered you before don't bother you anymore. Is it worth raising this issue? Is this the hill you want to die on? Like, it suddenly just puts everything for me into perspective, and all you really have at the end of the day is yourself. But you always have the capacity to learn and just to be, like, you have agency over that. So that's what it teaches me.
Pluck food I won't coo at a turkey. Told you it would come. Pluck food I won't coo at a turkey. I told you it would show up.
You do a great Zach De La Rocca.